Greetings from Edmonds, Washington. Today is May 5th, 2010, and I am Henry Fenimore Baker III, and I have collected all these family memorabilia from boxes and from bags, and I put them all together into a book, and I'm going to call it the Baker Graham book. So they're all in one place for safety and convenience. And I have constructed a little sound stage here, and I want you very much to be impressed by my engineering prowess. The very first item we have here is a letter from Burlington, and I'm sure it's Burlington, New Jersey. It's dated April 21st, 1872, and it starts out, "Dear Uncle." And the letter writer signs his name as J, and I think it's F. Boozer. And I'll try to identify him later on in the program here. I think I know who it is. And this is the other side. I went into Microsoft Word and transcribed it so it's much easier to read. And it says, "Dear Uncle, I take this the earliest opportunity to write to you in regard to the deaths of our family. Amy has just found another old Bible with births and deaths in it, and it talks about a grandfather, Jonathan Fenimore, was born March 20th, 1756, departed this life January 3rd, 1829, aged 72 years, 9 months, 24 days. And then it talks about grandmother, Sarah, and a previous memo by my grandfather H.F. Baker says that her maiden name was Watson, and she's the wife of Jonathan Fenimore. She was born May 31st, 1750, departed this life on the 3rd day of March, and it looks like 1847 in the letter, but it can't be because the same memo referred to before she died in 1817 at the age of 68. And then it goes down to brother John Boozer, son of Joseph and Rachel Boozer, and he was born 1808. And then it goes down to a Rachel, and it looks like Shedeker. I couldn't read the writing very well. And she was born on January 1782. And she died at the age of 89. And it goes down some other things. Your Christmas present came. We're very much obliged about it. I remain your nephew, and it's J. Can't read the middle initial, but I think it's F as in Frank, or Fenimore, Boozer. This letter is definitely Burlington, New Jersey, written February 25th, 1923, and it says, "Dear Brother." The other side. This letter starts out, "Dear Brother," and it's signed Will. Now, my grandfather had two brothers. One was William Baker and the other was Edwin Baker. Everybody called him Ed. And I'm very sure this is the William Baker of that generation. And their father and mother were Milton Baker and Henrietta Atwood Boozer. So it starts out, we are glad to know Tot, who is Granny Baker, or her real name Cora Warman Baker, is improving, no doubt well. Now, as I've been slow, very slow, in replying to your kind letters. And he talks about Pa's old papers, which he doesn't have. And Pa, I'm very sure, is Milton Baker. And the writer does not have Floyd Baker's address. And he thanks a Miss Ellis for the Fenimore family tree, and which she used to join the Daughters of the American Revolution. And it goes down to the birthplace of Milton Baker, who is a veteran of the Civil War. And he was born in Ancram, A-N-C-R-A-M, New York, June 29th, 1833, died at Trenton, New Jersey, November 23rd, 1907. And Ma, who is Henrietta, was born at Lambertville, New Jersey, December 4th, 1835, died Burlington, New Jersey, March 19th, 1914. And it talks about Grandpa Boozer, Grandma Boozer, bunch of boozers there, and talks about a Naomi Maxwell, a George Maxwell, who was son of William Maxwell, and so forth, so forth. This is an excerpt from one of the volumes of Avery's that I have in back of me. 2 volumes. Starts off with a Christopher Avery, born in 1612 in England. And this descendant is Isaac Irwin Avery, who was born 20 December 1828 at Swans Pond, North Carolina. And he studied at Chapel Hill, was a contractor on the Western North Carolina Railroad, and during the Confederacy he raised a company of infantry, and it became the 6th North Carolina Regiment. And he was wounded at Ricketts Battery at Manassas in 1861, and also wounded at Gaines Mills or Chickahominy, 1862, promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, later Colonel, and at Hoke's charge on Cemetery Hill at Gettysburg, 1863, afternoon of July 2nd, he died. And so he wrote a little paper just before he died. He says, "Tell my father that I died with my face to the enemy." I'm going to try to do this one-handed. This is a handwritten chart from Herb Leinbach Jr., who gave me all these genealogical pages. There's tons of them. And here is a list of the Baker kids. Marjorie was the first, and Albert, Edwin, called Ned, Anne, Fenimore, my dad, and the youngest Helen. And their parents, Cora Warman and Henry Fenimore Baker, and their parents, or his parents, Milton Baker, his wife Henrietta Atwood Boozer, and her father, William Fenimore Boozer, and his father, Joseph Boozer, who married Rachel Fenimore. And I think that the person who wrote this first letter that I told you about was J. Fenimore Boozer, or John Fenimore Boozer. From Herb's charts, I made a little interesting tidbit that I'm sure you'll be very interested to see. And down here we have the three Baker kids, Suzanne, Nancy Love, and myself, and our parents, Henry F. Baker Jr., and our mother, Helen Avery Graham Baker. My dad's parents, Henry Fenimore Baker, Cora Warman, and Grandpa's dad, Milton, and his wife, Henrietta, and her father and mother, William Fenimore Boozer and Susanna Maxwell, and his father, Joseph Boozer, and Rachel Fenimore, and her dad was Jonathan Fenimore, and that's the one who served in the Revolutionary War, and his wife, Sarah Watson, and Jonathan's father, William Fenimore, and his grandfather, Joseph Fenimore, who had a brother, Richard Fenimore, and he had a daughter, Elizabeth Fenimore, who married a William Cooper, and the result was James Fenimore Cooper. I guess part of a letter dated February 20th, 1912 says a copy of a statement received from the Commissioner of Pensions, Washington, D.C. And this is a statement of the military record of Jonathan Fenimore, a soldier of the Revolutionary War. And his date of service over there on the left is 1776. He served for 18 months. Rank was artificer, whatever that is, and his commanding officers' names. And the unit looks like Flowers Continental Artillery. And then he signed up for 3 years. His rank was matrose. Again, I have no idea what that is. And his commanding officer and the unit was Thomas Forrest 4th Continental Artillery. His discharge was July 17th, 1781 at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Battles engaged in none. And it says date of application for pension was April 28th, 1818. His claim was allowed. And signed J.C. Davenport, Commissioner. Again, this seems to be a partial letter, and it starts out with Fenimore, William, and Edward. Those are the three brothers whose father was Milton Baker, and it talks about Henrietta and William Boozer. It goes through the Fenimore line down to Jonathan Fenimore, and it's signed Lillian R. Ellis. No date on this. I don't have the contents of this envelope, but the envelope is from a Francis Barnum Culver, and the emblem on the left side is the Sons of the American Revolution, addressed to my grandfather. And the date is January 31st, 1923. And notice the 1-cent stamps. This is Grandpa's response, dated February 26, 1923. Mr. Culver, I'm enclosing application within. Now the following information, date of marriage of my great-grandparents, etc. And my mother had the family records, including the old family Bible, which was destroyed on fire a number of years ago when all her household effects were burned. And down at the corner on the left is H.F. Baker and his secretary initials. A letter my dad wrote to the Sons of the American Revolution, I'm sure, talking about his ancestors. He was born on the 13th day of February, 1897. I'm the son of, grandson of, and so forth, down through to Jonathan Fenimore. My grandfather, William Graham, never knew him. And this is a picture taken in 1892, and it's probably a wedding picture because they were married that year. He was born in Montreal, Canada. And on February 9th, 1865, and became a civil engineer, built a lot of bridges and factories and elevated trains in the upper Midwest. And the picture is taken in Sioux City, Iowa. And his wife, Sarah Avery, again the date is 1892, and she was born in Buffalo, New York, October 1st, 1864. She had three sisters. Three sisters never married. Three sisters were Laura, Harriet, and Lucy. She is in the 2-volume Avery genealogical books, page 1400, ancestor number 8690. My grandfather, picture taken about 1900, really good looking guy.